and welcome back to the Folklore Hiking Stick Workshop. Today we're going to be talking about the crown, which is the top part of the hiking stick. Now we're going to talk about the anatomy and where it all functions and sits in and works together, but before we get to that point I have to clarify we're not talking about canes, staffs, fighting sticks, shillelaghs or any other kind of stick in the whole genre. We're just talking about hiking sticks, and that is a pretty defined group of sticks designed and constructed or shaped to allow a user to move swiftly, safely, and with a bit of assistance over rough ground or terrain. Now that's primarily what I do as my small little craft business, so I'm reasonably confident I can discuss the anatomy of hiking sticks. So let's dive straight in and we'll talk about hiking sticks. This is a personal one. It's pretty beat up. I've been using it a fair bit. The crown is the very top part of the handle. The crown is the bit your hand and thumb will go on top of. This part is the handle. You can see I've got checkering, and that is in no way relevant to the discussion we're having about different styles of crowns. Now I'm going to use the word style, but also the function. This then goes down into the shaft and obviously the tip. All these parts are designed or shaped to work together. Now, and obviously you've got the whole length of the whole item and indeed the shape of it which comes into it. But we're primarily concerned with the crown in this video. So before we look at it in real life, here's just a rough explanation of the four main types, and you can make all the rest of your hiking stick crowns from these four basic ones. Obviously you've got a peaked one there, as you can see, round, flat and angled. Right then, so we kick off the ball with an angled cut one. Now this is pretty much well, you can see these everywhere, and people who've just made a hiking stick, they don't want a traditional flat one. They just put a straight cut angle to it, and Bob's your uncle, off they go doing their hiking. But there you go. That's what one would look like in the flesh, and you can see I've rounded it off just on, or put a little bit of a bevel on the edge just to make it more easier on the hand. The advantage for this is it's comfortable, or more comfortable than the flat head for the thumb to sit on, because when you've got your hand in this position you are putting pressure on the actual wrist right the way through to the arm, and indeed the inside bit of the arm, and you can tax the thumb. And just having this option, you can hold it down here and bring your thumb up. You can disperse the amount of stress you're putting through your arm and your fingers, your thumbs. It just allows a different hold, and it's moving your whole forearm and hand, wrist and fingers in a different manner. So it gives you the option to get up there quite comfortably. The disadvantage is when you strike the ground and you're putting a lot of pressure on, you're putting the pressure primarily just on this bit here, and you can't get like an overload of pressure. It's as it strikes down there, your pressure's going straight down through. You can't get like an overarch on the actual pressure as it hits the ground. So it's a good choice of crown for a hiking stick. I do like it. Not many people ask me for this type of crown, but I do actually like it, and I do recommend it. But we'll move on to the next now. Well, I'll move on to a flat top one. This has a little bit of an angle on it, but not too much. But in effect, this is what a flat one would look like. You've actually got the flat surface up there, and it's more traditional. This is what everybody thinks of traditionally as a hiking stick. It's just a flat cut. Obviously, I've beveled it because that helps stop splitting, cracking, and degradation of the top of the handle through use and the elements. But this one here, like that, is fantastic. The benefit of having a hiking stick with this basically is that you can place the hand when you have a stop short or you stop at a hedge or a gateway and you want to look over. You've got a bigger surface area, a flat surface you can put your palm on, press down, put the other one and just lean on it, and it doesn't push hard into the palm of the hand. It's a fantastic stick just for resting, stopping short and having a rest. The disadvantage is it's not as comfortable for the thumb when you're using it in this particular style. Obviously when you're grabbing it like this it makes no difference, but if you're using the crown like this, obviously I've got a bevel there which helps out, but it's still nowhere near as comfortable as something that's angled for the thumb. But what you lose in that, when you do have a stop, you have something that you can rest on. And you will see a lot of old boys at gateways and things like that with a flat one. They can just put their hand on like that. There's a big surface area, it's not pushing into the palm, and you can just stand here whiling away, looking out over the valleys, talking. And yeah, this gets asked for a fair bit, but we'll move on to the next type. Right then, what we have here, no less, is a rounded crown. And yeah, this here I would say is possibly the most common you will see. As you can see, it's rounded, and yeah, it really does feel nice in the hand. It's the midway point. It's the comfortable one which allows you to do everything all the other crowns will do. I can get my thumb on the top. I still don't have the full ability as reaching over, because obviously you're bending the thumb to that particular angle there, so you don't get the overreach when you really want to push hard and propel yourself forward, but it still allows you a fair degree of that. It's comfortable that the thumb will actually move up forward, and it obviously fits in the hand reasonably comfortable like that. There isn't such a big surface area on the top to sit in your palm, but if you're just resting gently, you know, you could do it for quite a while and it wouldn't become uncomfortable. But obviously a flat one, you've got a bigger surface area for the whole of the palm to sit in. But yeah, this still allows, it's the midway point between everything. Being comfortable if you're having a stop short and stop just looking and taking it all in, or really getting the full pressure down onto the ground to push forward. And why I'm saying that, it's not just the hand that uses the forward motor, that you'll be gripping the stick on the handle to go forward. The thumb can initiate some downward force and grip on the actual stick when you're really digging it in and going for it. I mean, some people will traditionally just use a hiking stick in this, but you're losing a lot of stability. The crown also aids you in stability crossing hard, rough terrain. And that's what I mean about overreach. You can't get the full overreach for the full angle draw into the ground, but it's a midway point. It gives you some of that and some of the comfort. So yeah, a good choice this would be for an all-rounder. Right, we come into a peaked handle here, and it's quite evident. You can see that you roll up out of the handle onto the back of the crown, and it goes right the way over to the peak, the far side. That, if I bring it around here, allows you to place your thumb and get a full complete overreach. That means this bit of thumb here is drawing pressure right the way down on the outside the stick, so you can really give a lot of forward pressure, propelling yourself forward. And it is really comfortable. You can lay a lot of pressure onto the top of that stick. If I show you, if you see here, your thumb just literally envelops the whole top part of the stick and is in full contact. And it's a really efficient crown for hiking in off-road conditions. And I favour this type of crown myself. There's a multitude of other designs that you can incorporate, but these 4 designs are the fundamental designs you'll make your other ones from. I mean, you can see I've beveled and rounded off this peaked handle, but you could leave it slightly fatter, and you could leave it where the bevels ain't quite so sharp. I mean, I've done this to personal preference, but it's something you could experiment with. And I'll just show you some other kind of variations on crowns. Right, this crown here is basically a rounded crown, but it's gone into a ball. You can get your finger over it and it fits really nice, and you do have an overreach, but it is substantially large, and you will get some that are, you know, quite a bit bigger. And it's personal choice, but it can become too big where the ornamental factor or the aesthetic feature of that becomes a little bit of a hindrance. It's annoying that you got too much top weight. I wouldn't personally on a hiking stick want to go much bigger than this, but this crown, and the crown isn't, you must remember, isn't the handle part. It is quite simply this part up here we're talking about. So my thumb, you know, it can fit on there. You can get some overreach, and obviously it'd be, you know, comfortable there, but you then have to take into consideration you got top weight when you're moving the stick and you're flicking it, and you know, yet again, it's personal preference, but you know, people do like these. But for a hiking stick, if you're doing many miles, you do not want to go too big if you're going to do a ball style crown. Right then, I don't actually have one of my battle axe models, but in effect it's a cut off like this, and I tried to incorporate a battle axe look or a fantasy battle axe look, and then I notch out the crown up here and bring it back down slowly. So in effect it comes down into the handle, but it allows you to place your hand over here and your finger here to go right in on the crown, the top bit, and into the recess. It's quite a comfortable design, and I do it on my heavier gauge model sticks, but it's a novelty version of this where you've got a recess in the crown at the top to, like I said, to give you that battle axe look. And out of these 4 designs I've just shown you, you can make a multitude of other variations, but you will have to do it to suit your own preference or your customer's preference. They all have a place, and you know, some people favor one over the other. If you're doing short, very short, like legs or just walking the dog, I would suggest a flat one where you could stop and just place your hands on it. But if you're doing a lot of hiking, I would go for a peaked one. But some people might want an angled one where it isn't beveled and you've got that flat part there. Like I said, it all comes down to personal choice, but those disadvantages and the advantages of the crown will have to be, you know, married to your expectations and what you're planning to do with your stick. So for an instance, or an example of me getting it wrong, this is a personal one. I hiked in the mountains in Portugal, and as you can see, I've got a flat top and it's heavily beveled, and you might think that's okay, but because it's forward facing, my thumb was resting on the actual bevel here quite heavily, like that. Now, that might not seem a lot, but I was doing a lot of miles in a lot of heat on gravelly dirt tracks, and it did become taxing, and then I had to keep resorting just to bringing my hand down to here, and that option didn't feel comfortable over a long period of time. So it kind of relegated me just to using the handle and not just taking some of the pressure with my thumb on the crown. Now, that was an error on my part, and it does look nice. I do like the forward facing slanted flat top there. It does look nice, and you know, I still use it, but not for long distances. It's a nice stick, but that one design feature for myself, incorporated with this stick being that little bit higher than I normally have it, just means that the pressure on that part of my thumb, on the hook of my thumb, was just that little bit more over distance, and it was really comfortable. So that's an example of getting it wrong with the size and the design and the top of the actual hiking stick, the crown, that if you get it all wrong, it's not the most pleasing stick to use. But bringing you back to this one's, you know, sized correctly for me, complete right angle, and my thumb sits right up there. And the difference instantly for me to do distance, even though this stick is a piece of oak and I haven't straightened it because I really did like the actual curves in it, it just feels right and it feels natural, you know, and I can do a lot of distance with this and not feel any fatigue, you know, through using it. And I can cover rough ground quite fast, which is what a hiking stick is for. If you can't do that, you know, you might as well not have a hiking stick. It's there to aid you, be comfortable, and allow you to cover terrain which, you know, requires, or you can use some assistance at a enhanced pace. And yeah, as you can see, this is just perfect for me. So that was an instance of getting the crown and other design aspects to the stick wrong. And the crown is a crucial part of your hiking stick design. Right then guys, that's pretty much all I'm going to cover in this video. It was just a quick one. I will take you and show you how I go about doing those various crowns and marrying it up with design aspects for the user, their height, weight, the type of stick they're looking for, or model of stick. And that all plays a part, and I'll discuss that further as I show you how I go about manufacturing those crowns on those particular sticks. This is just an insight into the 4 main types, and you can make subcategories out of those 4 main designs. And it's an overlooked part of hiking stick making. In fact, like I explained to you, you know, you get it wrong, it can actually make the stick not as pleasant as it can be to use. But yeah, if you're out there making hiking sticks, don't forget the crown. Don't put all your effort into the handle, the shaft and the tip, and forget the crown itself. But yeah, this is Andy from Folklore Hiking Sticks. Take care, stay safe, and I hope to catch you guys out on the trail.